So traders, let's get ready for another good week ahead. I'm excited. The market actually fell off a cliff towards the last probably few hours of the futures markets. Looking at the futures markets last week at the end of Friday. And I want to share with you what I'm seeing actually in these markets right now, because there's a lot of interesting things. And also I want to give you a technical analysis, short-term view, but also give you some sort of big picture analysis as well too, that the overall sentiment as well too, what's happening. So let's get straight into it. Don't place a trade based on what you're seeing in this video, because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. Alrighty traders, if you haven't done so yet, guys, that very first thing in the description, grab that free trading course there right now. As soon as you go over there, guys, and put your email address in to get free access to that trading course, you get it's a whole bunch of trading course. The very first video you get is me walking you through all the details and steps to my #1 trading strategy that I use on all markets. But then also in that training, I talk about the 3 things that I need to learn to actually become a good trader. And then also I teach you what I call, what does a home run trade pattern look like? What does it actually look like on the chart that's going to give you the potential of having what I call a home run trade? And you'll be able to see all that in that training. Again, very first link in the description, guys, get free access to the trading course. And the very first video you get is exactly that. So go to that right now. So let's go and have a look at I want to start off with the big picture, okay? Now, the big picture, what we're looking at right now is the Nasdaq. And you can see the Nasdaq completely fell off the cliff for this through here, right? So this is the futures markets, and you can see the last couple of hours of the futures markets, it just came all the way down, right? All the way down. So the last, what was that? That was at 4 o'clock, yeah. So the last 2 hours of the market closed, the market went straight up and then straight back down. Now, I'm looking at a 2-minute chart here, by the way, guys, because I'm emphasizing what actually happened in the markets. If I go to, say, my 15-minute chart, you'll be able to see what's actually happened here from a 15-minute perspective, which is actually quite bearish, right? And so you can see here, right? So you can see here we had a very strong move up and a very strong move down. This is called a V top in the markets, right? A V top in the markets. So you know how you get V bottoms? You know how you get the markets, how it come down? It's called a V bottom, where it comes down and it comes straight back up. That's generally called V bottom, right? It's called a V bottom because generally what happens is we get a pullback and then we end up starting what? A new upward trend, right? We have a low, we have a higher low. It's breaking past previous highs. We start that new upward trend, right? Because that's called V bottoms in the markets. In fact, actually, I won't go there yet, but actually Facebook actually created that sort of V bottom formation before it actually started to take off to the upside. So that's what's happening there right now on the sort of the 15-minute chart. So what I'm expecting now, you can see how there's a whole bunch now, because I'm looking at the futures markets here, guys. This is the futures chart right now. So around the 15,240 is probably going to be an area that we're probably going to rally back up to through here, and then possibly start to see a move back down again. So we're starting to get very sort of toppy action. If I use a Fibonacci tool here, right, from there to there, you can actually see that these levels from here to here are definitely sort of the strong areas of resistance. If we go to the hourly chart now, yeah, you can actually see this. And what this actually may also be, looking at now the hourly chart, right, is what this also may be, is this also just may be a start of a potential new downward trend, right? Because you can see here we came down, right? Which, by the way, why did this fail here? All right, this is actually a really big interesting thing about what most people get wrong when they trade in the markets, right? So look at this here. So look at this here, right? So the market, oh my goodness, gone sideways, and the market started to break down. Why did this break down? Why did this one not go for a big move? And why did it go for a little move and then completely reverse against you? The reason why that happens is because the overall trend is what? It's up, right? Sometimes you get an upward move like this, higher lows, right? Sometimes you might get that, then a sideways movement, and then down, and then guess what? And then another move back to the upside. So always be keeping an eye on that. If it's up and then sideways and down, you got to be really, really, really careful of trying to take trades here. And then suddenly what happened, then the market started to completely change against you. Wouldn't that frustrate the hell out of you, right? You go short here, you get stopped out up here, then the market takes on you. I guarantee you some people did. And they'll be like, the language in the dictionary has become alert. Alive. Anyway, so we can see that through there. So what I'm looking at through here, what this could quite possibly be, right, is that a move down, an overall move up to lower highs, and possibly now starting to see a move on the downside. Now again, guys, I'm just looking at the intraday charts here from the Nasdaq perspective here. If I go look at the daily charts, again are still setting up with this double top formation here. The really big interesting thing about this market here is that we're starting to see this thing rally. We're starting to see this thing really get to a tipping point. If the market does hold here, you can see here that if we do get an up move, guys, I'm telling you right now, do not be sucked in. Do not be sucked in by that. That is going to be a sucker rally, and you're going to get sucked in by that. So many people are going to get sucked in by that because there's a massive probability that then in the end, then we're about to see something like that, okay? Or we simply start to see a rollover through here. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens here. Do we have one last little push to the upside? Or does those intraday charts that I just walked you through a minute ago, do they start to kick in, and then we start to see even more of a downside movement? Because what we've got here on a short-term basis is a bit of a double top formation, right? So you can see here, right, one top, two top, and neckline. So if you project that down, that's 1, 2, say 3. So 1, 2, 3. On a bare minimum basis, that's that next, or it's actually interesting, that's that support level there. So on a bare minimum basis, guys, if we start to break this neckline here on the daily chart, so we break down to say 15,000, 14,800 on the Nasdaq, then we're probably going to get to around about that 14,200 level, because that is the projection for that double top through there, which is that level through there. Then I also do believe that by looking at the Nasdaq, if that does happen, then we're probably going to start to see another move, like a really strong move on the downside to come out of the Nasdaq. So that's what I'm looking at through there. Now, guys, one thing I really want to keep an alert on with you is a few different things, right? We're looking at short-term technical analysis, right? What's coming up? So, for example, we can. I'm always trying to alert you of what's potentially coming up. But then also, if we can be alert to what's potentially coming up. So for example, if this market does hold here and we start to go for another move to the upside, then you're already alert to say this has a big probability of not being a true breakout and a move to the upside. It's probably going to be a reversal, right? Just like I shared with you a minute ago on the charts. So it's just about, okay, what could be coming up? If it goes down, what does that mean? If it goes up, what does that mean? So we can see that that's what's going on there with the good old Nasdaq 100 charts. But the big thing I really want to share with you is looking at things like the VIX, right? The VIX is still quite low through here. And let me just take all the trend lines. All right. So the VIX is still quite low through here. We've got a very, very, very low VIX. It actually got down to, wow, look at that there. It actually pretty much got down to where before the COVID thing happened. I'm not expecting a VIX spike like this, guys. I'm not expecting that to happen out of the VIX. But yeah, so I'm not expecting that, but I am expecting to see this VIX start to have another spike back to the upside. So something's about to hit this market, guys. I really do believe that something big's about to hit the market. And which is going to cause this thing to spike up. And one of the reasons why I'm saying that is if I look at the fear and greed index, this is the fear and greed index. You can still see here, we're still pretty much around the extreme greed area of where we're at in the markets here, right? And we can see here on the timeline. So not only are we seeing it from a VIX perspective, but we're still at these extreme greed levels here, right? And even if we do get maybe a couple of day pop to the upside out of the stock market, guess what that's going to mean then? It's going to mean what? We start to get more movement to the upside from there. Make sense? So we can see that that's what's going on with that overall picture, which just simply says, guys, that we are getting very close to that tipping point of the market starting to see a movement on the downside. If we have a look at the S&P 500, you can see the S&P 500 bit of a gap fill, right? Now, actually, you know what? This actually made a slight high, didn't it? And then it broke down. What is this pattern here? Right? So if we have a look at this here, if it does get a movement to the upside, oh my goodness, then people are going to get sucked in so much. Oh, it's going again. And then that's going to be the end of the move. If we do get a little push to the upside, that area through there, that whole area, and even maybe possibly through, I'd have to say through there. Yep. Area through there would be the area, maybe even down through there somewhere. I'm just trying to identify these areas here at support here, a little bit of resistance here. So roughly around that area through there, maybe even just slightly a bit higher. So maybe even just slightly a bit higher, maybe somewhere around about there, right? So that point through there. So it's this whole area through here, guys, as you can see. Of the 4,500 level up through here. So the market is getting really overextended. So there's a lot of warning bells, guys, of if you're looking to go long these markets right now, there's a lot of warning bells to say that we're probably going to get some sort of a pullback to freak people out, or we're going to get the pullback for those who will say, I told you the market was going to crash, here we go. And then it pulls back, say 10% on you. That's all I'm expecting. And then erase the new highs. I'm actually expecting new highs for the markets. If you actually watch my trailer video, my main video on my YouTube channel, you'll be able to see that I did a video back over a month ago now, saying I'm expecting the S&P 500 to actually make a new high this year, basically erase the new high. So we're actually not that far off, but I'm expecting to see some form of a pullback out of the markets to get that going. It's going to be a bit of a shake and bake, right? It's going to shake the weekends out. And then we're going to start to have a race to the upside. But first, guys, I do expect to see a good 5 to 10% correction pullback out of the markets before we see a movement to the upside. In fact, that'd be interesting. The last two pullbacks, this one here was 7%. Okay. Now, this one here was, what's that, 9-10%. So just something like that. Just something nice, a nice little pullback through there. Yeah, so just something like this, guys. Nice little pullback, and guess what? Maybe possibly a nice little pullback. If we're looking at where it could quite possibly go to, if we use the hooray, there you go, guys. If we use the hooray simply says that that's that point through there. That's that point through there. So we could just get a bit of a pullback, guys, to this hooray. The hooray. The array, if you guys are wondering, what the hell are you talking about? The ray, see the ray? It's a ray line. I call it hooray. No idea why, but anyway. So the hooray comes in there. So you do expect to see now some form of a pullback. Now, if that hooray does come involved there, we can actually see from the top to the bottom. As you can see, right, that gives us a good 7 or so percent movement, 7 to 10, possibly 7 to 10% move. On the downside, and that'll just give us that 7% move. That's exactly what actually happened back here as well too. So from this point here to this point here, that this pullback, this all it was just a pullback, right? 7 or so percent, and then a 10% move. So if we're looking at that same sort of thing, right? Look at this here, 7 to 10% movement on the downside is what you would expect to see. For this thing to start to move from there. So that's the S&P 500. Looking at the Dow Jones, the Dow Jones is the one that is really the one that I'm watching for right now, and the reason why is because there's actually a few things that's happening here, right? So if I use the hooray again, I guarantee you guys, I'm gonna get you guys saying it. You watch. You watch. Next time you draw your Ray trend line, you're gonna go, oh, I'm drawing the hooray line. The hooray line. That's right. It's called the hooray line. Anyway, and then we have this resistance up through here, right? So if we have a look at this here, this actually looking at this level through here, right? A lot of these times, these ascending triangle patterns, which actually squeezing up through here, a lot of these times, you would actually get a break to the downside. I've seen this so many times where the market would actually break to the downside, and then we have a follow through, right? So we can actually see there's also what is this up here? An island reversal, right? An island reversal, which simply means the market goes up, it gaps up, it creates like a little bit of an island, right? So think about that on island, then it gaps back down, and we do that. What is that? An island reversal. So we're probably going to start to see a movement on the downside. Now, if I take the trend lines off the screen here, you can also see that what do we have here? A double top formation. And if we break that, then we're probably going to head back down. The next level of support on the Dow Jones is that 3,280 level. That's what I'm seeing there on the good old Dow Jones from there. So guys, we're getting a lot of things are still very high right now. There's still a lot of warning bells to say that there's a real good pullback coming along the way. The VIX is very low. The fear and greed index is still extreme greed. There's something that's about to hit the market, I believe, over the next month or two. That's going to send this market down. Now, when I say that, guys, people say, oh, in next month or two, it's like, as you know, right, the pullback is going to take probably a good, say, two to 4 weeks, maybe a couple of months to unfold, right? Slowly go down, up days and so on and so forth, right? But there's something about to hit these markets that's going to cause these markets to freak out, I believe, on the downside from there. So that's what I'm looking at from that perspective on the Dow Jones. Let's go look at I want to show you the Australian market here. The Aussie market is actually looking really, really, really weak. We were getting this sort of movement down, and we had a little rally up, complete fake out, and then a drop down, rally back up. And then now we're actually breaking back to the downside through here. So this is the Australian market. And the Australian market is indeed creating a high, a lower high, and now we're breaking these lows through here. So the Australian market is probably going to start to see some really big, strong movement on the downside. And the really big sort of level that I'm focusing here, if I just bring up some trend lines here, we do have a bit of a support and resistance level going on through around about this sort of 7,000 level on the Australian market. And if we break that, we are probably, if we break that, we probably have, what's that? Yeah, a good 7 to 10%. So it seems like that 7 to 10% movement, 7 to 10% movement on the downside seems to be a bit of a broad thing across the markets from there, from that perspective, that there. If we go look at gold and actually, no, I'll start with oil here. Now, looking at oil is one of those markets that if I go to my weekly chart with oil is one of these markets, guys, that we've been slowly going down through here. And what does that tell me? That tells me we're about to see some fireworks. This market here is about to see some fireworks. I don't know exactly where the fireworks are going to be, right? I don't know if it's going to be up or if it's going to be down. Right, but one thing I do know and I do see is we can see that this point all through here, it's very, very, very what's called very slow action, right? Very, very, very slow action. The reason why I'm mentioning this to you is because we could get some really good setups coming soon that if oil is going to go for another move to the upside, or if it actually starts to have a move back down again, which could quite possibly happen, right, then there's probably going to be a big move. Either way, there's going to be a really, really, really big breakout from there. If I go to USO as well too, so USO is doing that through there. This is the USO through here. So I do see we're probably likely to see a really big, strong breakout out of this level. And when it does, guys, we're about to see some really, 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 really big moves. Let's go look at gold here for a minute. Gold right now is if we look at the big picture here with gold, gold indeed, there you go. Indeed, gold is indeed That's then gold there, there, that's there, that point through there. Right, indeed. So just take everything off the screen here. We've got this resistance here. The big thing you really want to keep an eye on for, guys, is to keep it really simple. We've got a low, we've got a high low, got a higher low. Gold is one of those patterns here, guys, that is really setting up and could be getting ready for some really big explosive moves. I believe gold, this market here is getting ready for what I call a slingshot move. Right? Because look, slingshot meaning it's pulling back, and then wham, away we go. And I believe that's coming really soon. So people are not focused on gold right now. People are focused on what? The AI stocks, which guess what? They're coming down, right? They're going to start to really have a big move on the downside. Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, Meta, these stocks are going to have a real big pullback. And they're just staying up here just a little bit longer than I thought. To get people still in, but then we're going to start to see these things absolutely crumble, and it's going to start to freak people out a bit. You watch. So, but then guess what, guys? This is the chart that's telling us what's likely to happen. Gold is likely to have a really big move up. The AI stocks are likely to have a pretty big movement on the downside, right? So a pretty big movement on the downside. But then gold and silver are really likely to start to see gold and silver. So this is gold here. If we look at silver again, this is the silver market here, just to keep it really simple for you guys, right? This is the, let's bring up this trend line here, right? That'd be the trend line I'd use for that one there. So that's just these two trend lines. This is the hooray I'm using right now. Oh my goodness. All right, the hooray. There we go there. That's the hooray I'm using right now. So the hooray I'm using right now is this here, right? And look at this here. Big movement up, high, higher low, higher high. Now this could be another higher low before away we go again. And silver to me is getting ready to have a really big movement on the upside. I do believe that, seeing where we are right now. And once it actually breaks, once silver actually starts to really break, then if we have a look at, let me auto scale this. If we have a look at that, then we could start to use a bit of a flagpole, right? So look at this here, right? So you can see here we've been basically in a bit of a channel, right? The Chanel, right? That was the Chanel. We had a bit of a false breakout, ran to the upside. If it does start to move up, then we could start to see, if it does break out, say through there, right? Then wow, we could actually see silver get up to this resistance line up here around $42. Wow, was not expecting that. What is that type of move, right? So from the breakout, or from this high point up there, is what, about a 60% move in silver. Okay, what would gold be then? Because gold is what, a 2.5 to 3,000. So that's that 2.5. So gold from the high could start to see a 2.5. So that's a 22% up to around about. Okay, cool. So we could see a 3,000 movement on the ups, 2.5 to 3,000 movement. I've got a minimum 2,500 target on gold. So that's what I truly believe is coming out of that one, that through there. If we start to see this through here, yeah, this is the 4-hour chart. We'll go back to the daily chart here. Yeah, so that's what I'm seeing through there, guys, from when it comes to the gold market from there. And the last thing that I want to talk to you about is I want to share with the good old Bitcoin, right? So this is the good old Bitcoin here. The problem you're seeing with Bitcoin here, guys, is that we've had a move up, we've had a pullback, and now we've had a move up, and we're holding strong through here. So if I bring on my daily charts, and you can see what's happening here, right? Up and then sideways. The big thing that you really want to see here is this one right here, right? This 52 moving average, I'd have to say. So you probably get a bit more of a sideways movement. If we do get more of a sideways movement like this here, so this is what Bitcoin does. See how it's trending down, sideways, and once it breaks, we go for a big move. It's trending up. If we go sideways and then we break out, then Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin could then be, Bitcoin could then be getting ready for a really strong movement to the upside, which is around that 4,000 level from there. So that's what I'm looking at there, guys. There's a lot of opportunities here, guys. But the really big thing I really want to sort of bring on there is there's a few things here, right? One, just having a broad understanding of where we are at right now. So with the overall AI stocks and the stock market, we know there's a lot of fear or there's a lot of greed in the market, and we know that there's a lot of complacency still in the markets, okay? So therefore, especially the AI that have been in a bubble, we're going to get some sort of a pullback. Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Meta, these really big bubble stocks, not so much Google and Amazon because they didn't really bubble that much. But those sort of stocks are going to have a really big pullback, right? So just preempting and just being alert that we understand that as the markets go through their cycles, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, 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 up. We're expecting what to come soon? We're expecting this down, 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 right? Which is just the pullback. But we never want to, and that's where if the market's been going up a lot, we will never want to try to go long up here because we never know where exactly that end's going to be, that ending point is going to be. We want to wait for that pullback first, right? So as we know, that's what the market does, right? Look at this here, up and then down and then up and then down and then up and then down. See what I'm saying? So that's the reason why, like, if the market's been going up and even on the downside, right? Down, 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 down a lot, pull back, down, 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 down a lot, and then pull back, down, 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 so on and so forth, right? Pull back down. So that's the reason why, like, if the market has been having big moves, like for example, Meta right now, we know that thing's been going on a tear run for quite some time. You trying to get into that is probably going to be very, very risky, right? What should you be looking at then if you're looking to get into something? Get into something that hasn't been on a tear to the upside. What are those? Silver, gold, potentially some of the mining sectors as well too. The mining sector might follow as well too, right? So a lot of these potential sectors out there, I do believe are likely to start to see some really big moves out of the markets. And it's from that perspective that I do see that once we start to keep an overall view of this, then we can start to make much better decisions from there. But as I said before as well too, traders, my number one approach when I'm actually trading these markets is my trading system. That very first link in the description there, guys, click on that. Go get access to my trading course, I promise you, because actually the very first video in the trading course you get is the top mistakes you're making right now, the top 30 mistakes you're making right now, and how to overcome them. So you actually can start to move forward. But that's the very first video you get in the trading course. But the very first video you get after you put your email address in is my number one trading system I use. You also got to learn the 3 secrets that you must understand to generate income from trading. And also on that training, the very first training you're going to get, is you're also going to learn what a home run trade looks like. What are the setups look like that's likely to give us a home run trade?